Richard Spencer drops lawsuit.
Student organizations celebrate Women's History Month.
And what's coming up in Buckeye sports? That's all right here on Lantern News Now.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Suarez.
And I'm Jamela Muhammad. You're watching Lantern News Now.
White supremacist Richard Spencer is expected to drop his lawsuit against Ohio State, according to the Associated Press. Spencer filed the lawsuit after the university denied his multiple requests to host a speaking event on campus.
Almost 70,000 young adults will be diagnosed each year with cancer. Those young adults will face challenges specific to their age group, such as academic concerns and future fertility issues. The Lantern followed 2 Ohio State students, one currently undergoing treatment and one in remission. Here are their stories.
I started feeling really sick, and I had the flu, and it really hung on for a lot longer than most people who had the flu around me. And then I thought that I developed bronchitis. I probably did. I took some medicine for that, felt a little bit better, but I was still really tired. I had headaches. And I started developing like this rash, which is called petechiae, and it's when like the blood capillaries under your skin burst, and so it's very flat and it like looks like little pinpricks of red. And I didn't know what it was, so I went to the student health center, and they drew some labs, and they called me like 20 minutes after. Which is never a good sign, and said that I had super high white blood cell count. So that means like that happens when you have mono, but that is leukemia, is basically you have way too many white blood cells. One thing that stumps all of my doctors is that when I was 3, I also had ALL leukemia, and I never relapsed. Once I was done with chemo, I was good. And it wasn't until 17 years later that this happened again. There's a lot less young adults who have cancer, and the AYA protocol that I'm on is given to people ages 15 to ages 39. So that's a huge gap of your life, and so many different things happen. So like, I'm not worried about childcare or starting a family or missing work, but I'm worried about missing class, and I'm worried about graduating on time. And so it's just this huge swath of people who are going through different things, but it's unique because we're not super old, which is how most cancer patients are, or super young, and there's a lot of focus on pediatrics. And we have different worries too. So like, I'm worried, how is the chemo going to affect my fertility? How is it going to affect like when I go back into the job market? Will I be able to get a job okay? And a lot of cancer patients are retired, so they don't have to worry about that.
I went to the pulmonologist's office, and I was checking in at the front desk, and I got a phone call on my cell phone from my personal doctor, my primary care physician. And he pretty much told me, he said, you need to get your mom and your dad, and you need to come to my office right away after this appointment. You know, that didn't, first of all, I got a, personal phone call from my doctor. That doesn't usually happen, I feel like. And then, so he told me, we think you have cancer. I'd been dealing with it at this point for about 2 months, I would say. So I knew something was really wrong. And so I kind of started to just process and accept at that point for myself. He came in, obviously kind of heartbroken looking, and he said that the specialist said that there was cancer in my spine, and he had never seen anything like it in his 20 years of work. Finally, it took from March to June 29th. It took that long to figure out what was going on. And I was living in pain for that long with no known cause. I was 19 years old when I received the diagnosis. I'm almost 21 now. But I was 19, and like you said, freshman year of college. I was just about to be done with my freshman year when all this started happening. It really, I mean, having cancer in and of itself is a very kind of ostracizing experience, diagnosis. But then what I've learned along the way is that being a young person, specifically a college-aged person, comes with its own set of struggles. I think at each stage in your life, depending on what age you are, when you have this diagnosis, it comes with its own very specific set of struggles. Since going through all that, I've talked to, obviously a lot of people about what's happened, because it's shocking and crazy and wild, it's just like, well, this was a time in my life, and, I talk to people about it, but I learn a lot about other people by sharing my experience too, because a lot of people have gone through some really intense stuff, especially with health, and a theme that I kept noticing in all these people's own stories that they were telling me was they were not taken care of promptly. And as time went on, I realized something was seriously wrong with me, and nobody was taking it seriously, is what it felt like. I was so frustrated. I had a broken back for a month and a half before they found out. And I told you, I said I needed certain care, and I was denied certain care. So that was really, that whole experience was really eye-opening to me, to the flaws of doctors and physicians of all sorts. That's not to say, they're bad people or anything like that, but they are humans, and they do make mistakes, and they do overlook things. You need to really, really, really advocate for yourself when it comes to your health. I've talked to so many people in the past couple of years about this topic, and I've heard so many stories from everybody about, one time I had this going on with me, and I went to the doctor and they told me it was just this and sent me home. I'm like, that's what happened to me, and it obviously turned out to be a really big thing. So let me put that lesson on to you guys so you don't have to go through all the hard stuff to learn it first, just speak up,
Look for the full video in our Extended Stories playlist.
March is Women's History Month. The student organization Society of Sisters hosted its 9th annual Gathering of Women event to honor excellent women in the African American community. Assistant News Director Jamila Muhammad was there and brings us more.
So Society of Sisters was founded in 2009. Like I said, it was founded to just empower women on campus, especially of color, and provide unity. So this event was basically in works to broadcast women of color and basically give the students on campus that representation that they may not get elsewhere, especially as an underrepresented group here on campus. I chose women in media just because as millennials, media is all around us, especially social media. So we just thought it would be a good thing to embark. People are now using platforms like Tumblr, Pinterest, and YouTube to showcase their art and all of their works. So we just thought it fit in with the time frame, with everything. So 2 of our panelists are actually alum of the university, so that was a big thing there because they basically represent us because they know what we've been through, and so they can help us and guide us along the way. And then Treva Lindsay, our 3rd panelist, she's a professor here at the university, and she specializes in women's studies and Black pop culture. So we just thought that she would definitely add a more professional component to the panelists.
It was such an honor. I graduated from Ohio State in 2016, and to be back here in 2018, being able to discuss my life and my experiences in media is just beautiful to me, and I'm honored. They're trying to make sure Black women on this campus know that they have a place, they have, there's a community for them, resources for them. I hope somebody listening is inspired to chase their dreams and do what they want to do their way. So I hope that they're watching and taking notes on how to live your best life, and also make a difference in your community.
Well, people say representation matters, and that's really true, because seeing, first of all, people who graduated from here and are doing what I want to do, and then they're Black women, it's really inspiring. It makes it feel really achievable. I'm really into black women and like feeling empowered and feeling like relatable to someone else.
Rule the world, so it's important for them to be able to sit down and talk amongst other women that's growing up under them, to be able to share their stories and give that insight. So honestly, I was able to take a lot from this event, more so just hearing these women that are using their voice and using their social media platforms to be able to speak their testimony and be able to just be able to share some light and shed some light and some information amongst the rest of the black community. So that was just great, just being able to see them do their thing and getting support from it was everything.
Are you okay? Buckeyes Campaign Against Suicide hosted the annual Are You Okay Day last Thursday to raise awareness and start the conversation about mental health. Lantern TV reporter Shannon Linton was there and brings us more about this important event.
Advocacy, outreach, education, and ending the stigma. On Thursday, the Buckeye Campaign Against Suicide held its annual Are You Okay Day, Ohio State's largest mental health-related event. Are You Okay stands for
resources, university resources, organizations, and knowledge.
Each section provides students with information surrounding mental health, so they can benefit from meaningful resources or provide them to students that are currently struggling. Maria tells Lantern TV that stigma,
It's kind of like an invisible monster.
because while it is present among us and everyone experiences it,
Nobody really sees it.
VJ is the president of BCAS. He tells Lantern TV
about 1 in 4 college students struggles with a mental illness on an annual basis,
adding that suicide is actually
the second leading cause of death, unfortunately, for college-age students.
I think the most important thing is knowing how to ask if students are okay. So up there on the stage, there's a chance for students to actually interact and ask those questions and practice kind of role play different situations.
So that's exactly what I did.
After talking with so many amazing people on stage, I learned a new thing. Reach. Recognize the signs, engage with empathy, ask directly about suicide, communicate hope, and help people to the right resources.
VJ and Maria hope that Are You Okay Day provided students with hope, showed students that are struggling how much fellow Buckeyes care about their well-being, and provided them with the resources they need to stay on a path conducive to recovery. For Lantern TV, I'm Shannon M. Litton.
Now let's check in with Lantern TV reporter Joe Matz for an update on the past week in politics. Joe?
Thanks, Elizabeth. On Thursday, President Trump announced a tariff on imported steel and aluminum. The proposed tariff is meant to target China and boost the American economy, but critics say it will do the opposite. Most of the United States steel comes from allies like Canada and the EU, both of whom plan to retaliate if this tariff is imposed. Many economists warn against the trade war that it could tip off. Within the U.S., there's been a split response, with manufacturers praising the tariff and companies that rely on imported metals worried that it will lead to lost jobs. Many Republican politicians criticize the tariff, citing the GOP's pro-trade stance. They say that it will increase prices for American families. Even Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has condemned the tariff. On the other side of the aisle, Democrat senators from West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and our own Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown have praised the tariff. Brown claimed that it's long overdue and that it will help the steelworkers of Ohio. There were a couple large shifts in foreign governments this past week. In an election Sunday, Italians showed their support for far-right parties, which marks a move away from the pro-European Democratic Party and the EU in general. The Chinese Communist Party has announced that it will remove term limits for President Xi. This consolidation of power in China could prove challenging to the U.S. on an international stage.
James King here with Sports Today, and here's a quick update on what's going on at Ohio State. Urban Meyer and the Ohio State football team began fall camp this Tuesday, and for the first season in 5 years, former quarterback JT Barrett won't be on the roster. While Meyer believes he will be missed, they feel they are in good hands moving forward.
Miss him dearly, but life moves on, and he's not the first player. It won't be the last. He is very unique, though, especially the position he plays and how close we were, how much time we spent together.
It's March, and that means Ohio State men's and women's basketball teams are gearing up for their annual NCAA tournament. The women's team, fresh off a Big Ten tournament win, are looking to carry their success throughout the tourney, while the men look to reignite a hot streak like they had earlier in this season. The men's selection show is this Sunday at 6 p.m. with the women next on Monday at 7. Now here's a quick few things on what's going on in Buckeye sports this week. Men's and women's swimming are holding NCAA zone diving championships this Friday and Saturday. Men's lacrosse is looking to continue to build on their young season as they welcome Towson to town on Saturday at 4 p.m. Men's ice hockey will look to secure their spot in the Big Ten Tournament Championship by taking on Michigan in the semifinals on Saturday night. On Tuesday, women's tennis has a doubleheader with Dayton and Bowling Green. And on Wednesday, women's lacrosse plays host to UConn.
That's all we have for you this week on Lantern News Now.
Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Also check out the Lantern on Snapchat.
Thanks for watching and be sure to subscribe.